Hello, this is Jilly from Jilly's Creative Corner, and today I'm going to be making a waterfall card for you, but we're going to be having it facing this way, so the card sits like that as opposed to like that. So when you pull it out, it's that way. And then you've got the card base and you can write on there. So I made this one using the Sand and Sea suite from the new mini catalogue that runs to the end of June. But the one I'm going to make with you today is an Easter one, and that's going to be with Timeless Tulips. And the punch punches out the large tulip, so that would be that tulip there, and then it also punches out this, and you can have it as a leaf, but it also fits to give your flower more depth. You can add the layer because it fits identically to that side of the flower, so you could put it on there to raise up, maybe raise it up, and it gives it more depth to the flower. I personally don't use that as you know, to put more depth, because I absolutely love how the texture, to me, gives you the depth just by viewing it. Gives you the depth, so I don't actually use that, but you know, you could actually punch it in green and use that as a fatter leaf. If you wanted to, but the punch is just so useful to do the big flowers. And even if you wanted the small flowers, they're so easy to fussy cut out the smaller flowers. So that's explaining the punch and that little piece there. It also has a lovely sentiment here: happy Easter, happy spring, happy, happy everything. So that's the one that we're going to be using today. But this is the card we're going to make. So you pull the ribbon here and it opens like that. Pretty much all these need to be stamped onto the piece of basic white cardstock flat, because if you have anything raised up, it won't pull through. However, on this one that doesn't need to pull through the mechanism here, you can put some, I wouldn't put it too high, but I'm going to put some flowers a bit raised up on this piece here, because that doesn't have to run through the mechanism. So when it's fully open like that, it can stand up. It's hard for you to see, but it'll stand up like that, and you can have raised flowers here. Also, you don't want to put anything raised on this part because you would struggle to push it through the mechanism there. So that's the sort of card we're going to make, but we're going to make it as an Easter card. So to make this card, you are going to need a piece of basic white thick card, and that's for your base cards, and you want it cut it at 5 7/8 by 8 1/4, which is an A4 sheet on the long side cut in half at 5 7/8, and then you can get 2 base cards out of that. So you need that, and then you need a piece of cardstock that is 11 inches by 3 inches, and that is for the mechanism that pulls the waterfall through. And another part of the mechanism you need is a piece of the same colour cardstock that is 4 inches by 1 inch. So that's 4 inches by 1 inch. You need a piece of pattern paper. Now, I've still used the shell pattern paper, even though I'm making an Easter card, because I think it's very, very spring sort of colours, the yellows, the pale pinks, bit of darker pink. So I think it still works really well, even though it was designed with seashells and stuff like that. So you need a piece of pattern paper. That will go on there. And you also need 4 pieces of cardstock 3x3. That's 4 pieces, 3x3. 4 pieces of the pattern paper, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So it's going to sit in there like that. And then you need 4 pieces of basic white ordinary thickness. You don't need the thick card for this bit. And that will sit in there. We will be stamping straight onto this because you do want it to stay as flat as possible. You don't want anything too raised up because it's got to slide through that mechanism like that and go flat. The only one that we will rise up is this one, because we're going to use the tulips, and it's got its own punch. So we're going to use put some of it flat on there, and then put a couple of the tulips just raised up a bit, but I won't put it on dimensionals. I'll probably put it on glue dots, so it's not raised up too high, because that's the only one on the whole of the waterfall card that won't have to go through the mechanism. It will stay where it is. But I wouldn't put dimensionals on it because it will rise up too high, and then when you come to close it, you're going to have this effect because it's going to be up on dimensionals. So that's all you actually need for this card. So I'm just going to put this to one side. We'll go with the mechanism first. Well, obviously after you've made your base card, which I've just told you how to make. So what you need to do is you need to take this 11 inches by 3 inches piece of cardstock, and because it's cardstock I'm using the thinner end of my score tool. So on the long side you're going to score at 3 inches, 3 3/4 inches, 4.5 inches, and 5.25 inches. So you've basically got, that's your 3 inch bit there, that's 3 by 3, and then you've got these 3 here, and then you've got a long piece here. So that's what it looks like. So you're going to burnish these, make sure that you've got it lined up so it's absolutely level at the sides, and burnish all the score lines. So then you've got that, and that's where your mechanism. So what you want to do now is bring in your pattern paper and just decorate the tops of each one of your 3 by 3 cardstocks, and use whichever glues that you prefer. I always like my Stampin' Seal Plus. It's quick and easy to use. just centre it so you've got an even border all the way around. That's one. And now the last one. We just got our new catalogue. We've been given a sneak peek of our new catalogue. There's some absolutely beautiful things coming in. I'm so pleased to say that this tulip punch and stamp set is staying, so it's going to roll over into the next catalogue. So that's great news, because I do love this stamp set, and the fact that it's got a compatible punch with it and not just frameless. I do like a punch. So we just pop those to one side a second, and then we want to put this paper, this big piece, as our base onto our base card. Because it's such a big piece, I will actually use some liquid glue. All my liquid glues always seem to be half empty when I come to do my videos. Put this on here. You definitely get some wriggle room with liquid glue. So if you pop it down and it's not quite in the right place, you can definitely have a few seconds to wriggle it around. So that's our base card with that on first. So this will fit on here. Like that, and then these are going to fit on like so. Like that. So that's how we'll start off. So I'll pop that to one side and bring in this part of the mechanism now. So because I've got different amounts of different colours, so for instance there's a lot more pink on that one, but the yellow's at the top, then I've got a lot more yellow on that one. So I just want to choose which one I like the best, because this is going to be, this one here is going to be this one here, which is the one that we're going to build up a little bit more with some tulips punched out on. And then this one at the top is going to be, this one here is the one that you see the most when the card's closed. So it's a bit tricky to show you, because obviously when it's standing up you can't see it on the camera, but it's going to stand like that. Obviously upright, but it's going to look like that. So if you want to put some words on it, like I wanted to put "friends are like eggshells, you collect them along the way," I wanted that to be seen straight away and all the time, that the card is actually open, all the time that the card is actually closed. Then I wanted that on the first page, which would be this one here. So it would be the one that would stick here. So before you put it all together, just decide which ones of your design series paper, if it's got a different colour amount like I've got on mine, decide which one you really like the best. I actually like that. I love pink, but because it's got a good bit of yellow as well as pink on it, I actually like that. So I think that is the one I'm going to have on the top. And then, of course, this one here, I'm going to have covered by quite a lot of flowers, because the other thing is, obviously, you're going to be putting this on top of it. So it's how much your outside edge is going to look like. So just make the decision by popping it on, seeing what you think, what you like the most. You don't have to have these as big, you know, they can be smaller, so you get more of the coloured paper. It just depends on how you want it to be. So what we do now, I do use tape for this, because I think when you're pulling something along, and that's what you're going to be doing quite often with it, I want something quite sturdy that I know is going to hold everything in place. But I know, you know, people do use liquid glue if they've got strong liquid glue, but I do like some tape. Right, so now you take your mechanism piece, and so you've got the 3x3 piece facing you, and then the smaller score lines here, and then the long piece you want away from you. And you don't want it to go over those score lines. You want it just below it, but so like that, just below the score line. So you want a piece on all three of these. And then you want one and here. Like that. So what you do then is turn it to face you this way. Now I would put liquid glue on the rest of that. This is just the top bit. So with this one, because it's going to be like that for us, it's not going to be like that. So we want it to, although they're 3x3, we want it, so it's, for example, my lines go like that on my paper. So if I turned it around that way, which is the way it is going to sit, it will be that way, and I want it to go that way. So I stick it on with it in mind. That's how it's going to look. And then, so we're going to stick that one, but this one goes right on. So if you pull that off, and then I will pop some liquid glue on the rest of it. Actually, I'm going to be bringing this piece because it's got more yellow on it. And then make sure you line it, so bring it, don't toss it straight down, so bring it on a tilt like that up to the score line, and then make sure you've got it level each side, so that when it's on there, it's completely smooth edged each side. So that's your first one. Then take this one off and choose which one you want next. So I'm going to go with this one. Again, tilt it up, don't let it lay it straight flat, just to make sure you've got the width on there, just under the score line. And make sure that you've got it side there, and then put that one. So this is now a flap. That is a flap. That is straight down. Then you take this one off. And you pop this one on. So you see, you want that so it's level there, so it all lies level, that side and that side. And then the last one that you put on, so I would now open this out. The last one you put on is this one. So that now is the start of your mechanism. So you will see it will flip up like that, and like that as you pull this through. So if you've ever got like a cutting edge that you can see and it's raised a bit, if you just get your bone folder and just scrape it down like that, there, it's smoother. So that's the first part. So again, because I'm having mine sideways on like that, then you just mark it so you've got it right up to the edge of the pattern paper there. So it's there. And then you eyeball it and see, is it the same width there as it is there? I think I've got a little bit. There, like that. So this one will lift it up, like so. And this is when you bring in this piece here, because this is a bit that this is going to slide through. So what you're looking for is, you want this strip here to not come beyond this bit here, which is your last card, and the same width from here to here, which I've pretty much got even there. So then I put just underneath it, I just put a pencil dot there, and then just with my ruler, so that is 1/2 inch. So we're measuring from the pattern paper edge, not the card edge, so the pattern paper edge up 1/2 inch. And then this side you're doing exactly the same. So you're going to put half an inch on the end of your pattern paper and then put a dot there. Now you know that you want this piece of cardstock to sit just slightly below that, there, like that. Now you only put some tape on the edges of it. So this is my 1/4 inch tape. I'm just going to pop a line there. And a line here. So that's a line each side. And just before we do that, so now you know where this piece is going to sit, just below those. In the middle of here, and I do eyeball it, bring in your inch punch and you just want to open it up, and in the centre coat sort of not halfway, so about a third of the way up. So just, that's an inch, and that's an inch, so yeah. I just cut a little semicircle out of there, and that's with your inch punch, but only like a third of the way in. So then when this sits here, like so, your ribbon is going to go in there, and this piece is going to sit over like that. So you flip that out of the way, you're holding this paper right down onto the edge of the paper there. This is going to sit over like that. So if you just hold that, take off the tape, bring it down to cover that piece and that piece, and there's your, that's your piece that's going to sit there. And then what happens is you bring this down, and this piece here, so you're going to pop tape on the back of this last one. So you take the tape off, and then don't let it drop down. So you're going to even that out, make sure that you've got it, make sure that you've got it level. So this bit here is at the edge of your paper here. There. Make sure that you have it equal between there and there. Determined to flop down. And then pop that on there, like so. So now that's your mechanism's done. So you hold your card out, and you, on this bit where you've got the pull out there, just pull on this bit and it opens out for you, and then it closes, and you've got the same little border there that you've got there, and you've got the same width there as you've got there. So that's your waterfall. Now what you want to do is you want to put a bit of ribbon. So you are going to measure this, that is 3 inches, so you're going to come in at 1.5, and you want it about here. So what you do, put the pencil mark at 1.5 and then push it back up, so you can see that your pencil mark is probably a little bit high. So yes, it might be a little tiny bit high, so I'll just bring it down a little bit. So I just guessed that height. When we actually yeah, bring in your hole punch. I think that's it's an eighth of an inch, and pop it, and I just bring it a little bit lower than that. So I use that. I'm going to use that dot, but have it at the top end of where I'm going to punch, as opposed to in the middle. You still punch that pencil mark out, but I put it at the top edge. So now it's like that. So I'm going to come in with my metallic edged ribbon. It's white with a lovely silver edging to it. I think it adds to the brightness of all this paper. So I'm going to cut a little piece off. Let's pull it out a little bit. Thread it up through. So I'm going to bring in my glue dots. Pop a glue dot underneath there so that it sticks down that way. And then pull this out. Stick a glue dot at the back so it holds the ribbon down in there. And then just cut the ends off. So you've got a nice little pulley to pull that through. So that's the actual basic card made. Now we just need to make it all pretty for Easter. This is the bundle I'm going to use to decorate the cards. So we've got our card ready here just to pop some decoration on. So I've got my 4 pieces of basic white that I'm going to decorate and pop on there with some tulips and some words. So we're going to be using Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy Everything, and that'll go on the front. So that's going to go, so if it was this one, that's going to go on there, and then we'll decorate around it. And then the back page, where we can have a little bit more, because it's not going to have to slide through the mechanism, then I'm going to add some actual punched out tulips. So if I bring in the first one, so the first one, I think we'll go straight in and do the back page one first. So I'm going to bring in, the colours I'm going to be using is Melon Mambo, which is the colour of the cardstock, So Saffron, which is the colours that are in here, and then for the leaves I'm going to bring in Pear Pizzazz. Now, So Saffron and Pear Pizzazz are both in the Settles family, and Melon Mambo is in the Brights family. So they work really nicely together, and the lovely thing about Melon Mambo is the full colour stamp is pretty, but if you stamp it straight away again, it's a lovely lighter shade, but still really nice. So to start decorating the basic white 2.5 by 2.5 squares, I'm going to bring in my pear pizzazz first of all, a nice green, and one of the stems, ink up the stem. I want to bring one in from this corner here, one in from probably this corner here. Bring one up a bit higher first of all. I'm going to bring in the smaller leaf because this is a small piece of cardstock. So I'm going to bring the leaf in like that. Here. So that's our leaves brought in. That's the ones that are going to be flat anyway. I'm going to bring in Melon Mambo and the small tulip. And I'm going to do the full colour first on this one. So you just put it to the base of the top of the stem. Oh, I'll stamp that off actually. And top of the stem there. And then I'm going to put that one away. Bring in the So Saffron. So I've cleaned off the stamp. I'm going to pop this one there. So now we've got 3 there of the small ones. And then I'm going to bring in a scrap of basic white and my Melon Mambo and my big tulip this time. Stamp that down there. It's beautiful, all the textures of it, it's so pretty. So then you pop that in, line it up and punch it out. So bring in another scrap piece of paper, ink up your leaves with pear pizzazz. 2 that way. 2 will just about fit that way, but you'll see that I didn't re-ink it, so I've got a paler one and a darker one. And then we just fussy cut those ones out. So there's 4 leaves cut out, the leaves. Attaching some leaves to the back of it. So I attach that with glue dots, and then when they go down like that, you've got some leaves like that. And then at the very bottom, I'll show you how I did this in a minute. I'm going to pop that on the bottom. Now to do this, this is the whole stamp. Happy Easter, happy spring, happy, happy everything. Now I'm going to have that on the front of my card, but I don't want it all on the back page of it. I just want happy Easter, happy spring. And there's sufficient gap between the 2 lines that you can actually stamp it straight on. So you just need a scrap of paper that's only 1/8 of an inch wide, and place it in there. Ink up the whole stamp, and then because it's photopolymer, you can see that you're getting it just the words you want onto the paper. So pop it down like that. And there you go. And then just get my dauber, daub the ends, all the sides of it. So then we're going to bring this back in. I'm going to liquid glue this little bit here. Pop some liquid glue, just a line on the back of there, first of all. Turn it over there and pop it on the edge there. Like that. So with glue dots, I'm going to pop these leaves on the back of here. It's going to go like that way, and then put the other one the other side. Pop another one at the side there. So I'll go to the side, that one there, and I'll pop another one. So I'm going to pop that one in there. So if I just grab a glue dot there and pop it. And then this one. Go under like that, and then I can go up like that. So then I'm going to pop glue dots on it. I don't want it to rise too high because I don't, although it's on the last page, just pop glue dots on the back of it. So I'll bring this in now. So that can be on the back page. So when you pull that out, that is going to be there. And then when you push it all back in, perfect. So that's page 1, but starting at the back. So I'm going to add some liquid glue. See that? So that's one of your pages. I've gone ahead and finished decorating my one. So we did this one together. So we built it up because it's the end page. You can have more layering because it doesn't go through the mechanism. But I went ahead and did the rest off camera to just really so the video didn't go on forever. So the front page, I've used the medium sized tulip, the full sentiment, happy Easter, happy spring, happy everything on that first page. So the second page, I've used just the small flower head and the straight stem. You have got a curved stem as well. I think because these basic white pieces are only 2.5 by 2.5, it doesn't lend itself so much to have big curves. This would be great on a bigger card because you could have big curves and then you could have smaller ones coming down, as in to make it a beautiful bunch. So I did that one for the second page. The third page, I just did one big one, and then from this sentiment I just cut out the happy and I stuck it down flat. So I stuck it down with liquid glue so it wasn't raised up too high, so it will slide through the mechanism okay. And then we did the last one together, so you saw how to stamp. Because they're photopolymer stamps, they're really easy to join the flower head to the stem. You can see exactly where you're stamping. Now you can't really stick a piece of cardstock on here because it won't fit through that mechanism there. So anything you're going to stamp on here would have to be stamped straight onto here. I'm just going to leave mine blank. But what I am going to do is I'm going to bring in my rhinestones, the basic ones. So these are the basic jewels. And then I have got my Melon Mambo dark and light blendy pens. So I'm going to, with the brush end, gently, don't do it with the tip because you could break the tip down, but on the side, with the side, if you just gently cover. So you've got some nice Melon Mambo rhinestones. Just going to colour in a few. So I'm going to bring in my pokey tool and add these. Put one here. One here. One here. on the edge there. So that's right on the edge where just covering that little bit of a hole where your ribbon goes. So don't forget also to stamp inside your cards. Again, I've done the little flowers with the straight stem and the leaves, and then you've got plenty of room to write, or you can have a sentiment in there if you want a sentiment. So there's your finished card. I've kept everything on the first 3 pages pretty flat. That's flat. The only bit that's a tiny bit raised up, but it's done with liquid glue, so it's as flat and it's not affecting going through. Beautiful spring colours, and that was the other one, the seaside one I did. How different they look with this one, because it could be for birthdays. I put "It's your day, enjoy." It's your day, enjoy it on that bit there. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I shall be back next week with a new video. If you've liked the video and you'd like to subscribe, it'd be fantastic. And if you could tick you liked it, be fabulous to see any cards that you make, any Easter cards, any cards at all really. I'm on Facebook and I've got my own blog. So, you know, it'd be great, just share what you love to do, the same as I do. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.